You have a clear goal. You've spent months visualizing it. You feel the achievement as if it's already real, but when it's time to make the call, send the email, fill out the form, you procrastinate, not out of fear, but because you feel like something is still missing before you can act. This pattern has a name. Napoleon Hill documented it in 504 real cases. Hill studied 504 individuals who demonstrated an intense desire for 3 years. 89% of them never progressed beyond the mental stage. What distinguished the 11% who actually materialized their fortunes wasn't the intensity of their desire. It was something Hill termed a definitive plan of action, documented on paper with a clear deadline and the first task initiated within 72 hours. Between 1928 and 1937, Napoleon Hill documented a phenomenon no one else was measuring. He wasn't looking for people who failed due to a lack of will. He sought out individuals who possessed intense desire, clear goals, daily affirmations meticulously recorded in notebooks, yet still remained stuck. They were rich in mindset. They mastered visualization. They knew exactly what they wanted. But when Hill cross-referenced their actual financial data with their mental records, the numbers just didn't add up. Their mental wealth was flawless. Their physical wealth was non-existent. He realized something the personal development market still avoids admitting today. The problem wasn't a lack of mental clarity, it was the presence of an invisible link between thought and action, a link most people never built. And when that link is missing, desire remains trapped inside one's head forever. You'll recognize this pattern because it's active right now as you're listening to this. The decision you make, and it seems perfectly rational, is this: to visualize with absolute clarity, to feel as if you've already achieved it, to align your energy with the frequency of abundance. And once you're vibrating at the right level, action will naturally flow. It feels right because it's precisely what dozens of books teach. It's what coaches repeat. It's what's in the most watched videos about the law of attraction. You believe you're preparing the mental groundwork before acting, and that this preparation is the most important work, perhaps the only work that truly matters. So you visualize every single day. You feel the emotion of achievement. You repeat affirmations. You write in your journal. You meditate on abundance. And while you do all this, you feel like you're working. You feel like you're building something real. But there's one detail you don't notice while you're in this cycle. The decision to prepare more before acting creates emotional protection. Because while you're preparing, you don't have to expose yourself to the risk of trying and failing. Visualization is safe. Affirmation is safe. Mental work is productive, but it has no verifiable consequence in the physical world. And when it comes time to make the call, send the resume, publish the offer, fill out the application form, you feel like you're still not ready, that something is missing, that you need more clarity, more alignment, more inner certainty before moving forward. So you postpone, not because you've given up, but because you've decided to prepare more. And this decision seems responsible. It seems mature. It seems aligned with everything you've learned about the power of the mind. Hill documented this pattern in 1933 when he interviewed a man named Robert L. Whitmore. Whitmore was 42 years old, working as a sales manager in Detroit. He had a clear goal for 7 years: to open his own business consulting firm. He had the name chosen. He had the mental address. He knew the type of client he wanted to serve. He visualized every day. Hill asked, "Have you sent a proposal to any client yet?" Whitmore said, "Not yet. I'm waiting to be sure that my offer is completely aligned with what the market needs." Hill asked, "How much more time do you need to be sure?" Whitmore paused. Then he said, "I don't know, but when I'm ready, I'll know." 7 years of mental clarity, 0 physical attempts. The decision to prepare more seemed right, but it was sustained by a belief that Hill realized was fragile. This belief is, wealth begins in the mind. If I'm not mentally wealthy first, any action I take will be contaminated by scarcity and won't work. It's understandable to believe this. It's in the 13 Principles. It's in Andrew Carnegie. It's in Thomas Edison. It's in the entire philosophy of mental reprogramming that Hill documented. And the belief seems solid because it's true that wealth begins in the mind. The problem isn't the belief itself, it's what it allows you not to do while you wait to be mentally wealthy enough, because enough never comes. The mind always finds one more adjustment, one more doubt, one more necessary alignment before authorizing physical movement. And while you wait, time passes. The goal remains clear. The visualization remains intense. But no calls have been made, no documents have been sent, no first client has been approached. The mental wealth is perfect. The bank account is exactly where it was 7 years ago. Say this out loud. Preparation without a deadline for action is procrastination disguised as spirituality. What you just heard isn't just theory, it's the diagnosis that separates those who transform from those who stagnate. And there's a detail Hill himself used to say, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's why I built Rich Mind, a free community to bring together those who take these principles seriously. Inside, you'll find the 17 principles, daily verses, a 21-day planner to reprogram your mind, and a vibrant community where people from all over the world exchange ideas every single day. The link is in the pinned comment. Join today, because those who wait for the perfect moment never start. Hill documented this in 1937 in the chapter on decision, and the phrase is spot on. A burning desire without a definite plan of action is merely a pleasant dream. And pleasant dreams don't put money in the bank. He wasn't being poetic, he was reporting what he observed in 504 real cases. The people who materialized fortunes didn't wait to be mentally ready to act. They made the decision to act while they still had doubt, fear, and mental uncertainty. Physical action preceded mental certainty, not the other way around. Andrew Carnegie hired Charles Schwab in 1901 to lead the newly formed United States Steel Corporation, the largest company in the world at that time. Carnegie wasn't sure Schwab was the right choice. Schwab was 39 years old, had limited experience in corporate mergers, and Carnegie was staking decades of reputation on that decision. He made the decision before he was certain, and the certainty came after, when he saw Schwab execute. Thomas Edison patented the incandescent light bulb in 1879. He still hadn't solved the filament problem. The bulb burned out in seconds. It wasn't commercially viable. He filed the patent anyway, because he knew that the decision to move came before the complete solution. He solved the filament problem after he was already publicly committed to the invention. Physical action forced the mental solution, not the other way around. Hill documented this repeatedly. He called it the principle of anticipatory action. Faith is built in motion, not in preparation. And when you act before you're ready, the brain interprets this as evidence that you are committed. And when the brain detects real commitment, it releases cognitive resources that were blocked by doubt. The solution you were looking for in meditation appears in the midst of imperfect execution. But when you wait to be ready before acting, the brain never receives the signal that the commitment is real. It continues to treat the goal as fantasy, something you want, but not something you are doing. And fantasy doesn't generate results, no matter how intense it is. Hill studied a man named Henry J. Kaiser, an industrialist who built dams, ships, and hospitals during the Second World War. Kaiser had a principle he repeated to his team. decide, and then find the way. Never the other way around. In 1942, the American government asked Kaiser to build 50 cargo ships in record time, a goal that experts said was impossible. Kaiser had no experience in shipbuilding. He didn't have the infrastructure ready. He wasn't sure how to solve the logistical bottlenecks. He accepted the contract before he had the solution, and he built the 50 ships not because he had total mental clarity before starting, but because the decision to accept committed him to finding clarity in the midst of motion. This is the principle Hill documented and that most people reverse. You wait for clarity to commit. Hill showed that it is commitment that generates clarity. Applied faith, Hill's central concept, isn't visualizing until you feel certain. It's acting with the faith you have now, even if it's faith the size of a mustard seed. And when you act with imperfect faith, faith grows because every physical step you take without total certainty is proof to the brain that you are willing to take a risk. And risk is the language the subconscious understands as real commitment. Say this out loud: faith is built in motion, not in preparation. The failure mechanism isn't obvious when you're caught in the loop. But Hill was able to map it out because he had access to the actual financial records of the people he studied. Not just what they claimed to be doing, but what the numbers proved. While you're waiting to feel mentally ready to act, your brain starts neurologically reinforcing that action is a necessary risk while there's still mental work to do. Every time you postpone making the call, sending the email, taking the physical step, and instead retreat to visualization, to affirmations, to energetic alignment, you're teaching your nervous system that preparation is productive and action is premature. Over time, mental preparation becomes a refuge, a safe space where you feel productive without exposing yourself to actual failure. And the worst part, you don't realize you're avoiding, because preparation is real work. It demands discipline, it demands time, it demands focus, so you finish your visualization session feeling like you did something, that you made progress. But progress without verifiable action doesn't exist outside your head. Hill documented this in an extreme case. A man named Daniel Frost, an accountant in Baltimore, 47 years old. Frost had a clear goal for 12 years, to open a tax consulting firm. He visualized every day. He wrote affirmations. He had the complete mental business plan, client type, pricing structure, brand positioning. Hill asked, "Have you contacted any potential clients?" Frost said, "Not yet. I'm waiting to ensure my offering is sufficiently differentiated in the market." 12 years. Hill asked, "What has changed in the last 12 years regarding your goal?" Frost paused. Then he said, "The clarity. Now I know exactly what I want to offer. Before, I had doubts." Hill said, "And how much have you earned from that clarity?" Frost didn't answer, because the answer was zero. Mental clarity had grown. Physical results had stayed exactly where they were 12 years prior. This isn't a character flaw, it's a mechanism flaw, because the human brain doesn't distinguish between intensely thinking about a goal and intensely working towards it, as long as the thought is accompanied by strong emotion. When you visualize with emotion, your brain releases dopamine, the same substance released when you achieve something real. And dopamine is reward. The brain interprets that you've succeeded, so it registers, goal accomplished, and relaxes. When you come back the next day to visualize again, the brain feels no urgency, because yesterday you were already rewarded. The need to act diminishes. The feeling that you're already on the right track increases, and the cycle repeats: intense visualization, emotional reward, temporary satisfaction, and the next day. No physical action has been taken. In 6 months, the pattern is consolidated. You feel like you're working on the goal every day, but no calls have been made, no documents have been sent, no clients have been approached. The mental wealth is perfect. The bank account is where it was 6 months ago. Hill called this the illusion of progress. It's the most expensive mistake a person with burning desire can make, because they don't realize they're making a mistake. They think they're on the right path. And while they think that, time passes. Years pass, and the opportunity they visualized every day goes to someone who acted with imperfect clarity instead of waiting for total clarity. This is the mechanism that separates those rich in dreams from those rich in action. It's not intensity of desire, it's the presence or absence of the link between thought and measurable physical movement. And when that link doesn't exist, wealth never leaves your head. Say this out loud. Affirmation without action is just a letter that was never sent. Now you understand the mechanism, but understanding isn't enough. Taking that first physical step within 72 hours is what truly transforms comprehension into results. That's why I created the Mental Reprogramming Planner, 21 days of neuroscience applied to Napoleon Hill's principles to eliminate procrastination, build real discipline, and reprogram your mind for peak performance. It's not just theory, it's daily execution. The link is in the pinned comment below this video. Edwin C. Barnes was 28 years old when he decided he would become Thomas Edison's business partner. He didn't have the money for a train ticket to the laboratory in New Jersey, so he hitched a ride on a freight car. He arrived dirty, with no credentials, no letter of introduction, and no prior connection. He didn't wait to be mentally prepared. He didn't wait for the perfect resume. He didn't wait for the ideal approach. He knocked on the door. Edison hired him as an assistant, a job Barnes didn't want, and that paid less than he needed to survive. He accepted it because Barnes understood something most people don't. Opportunity doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards those who move with what they have now. He worked in that position for 5 years, keeping his burning desire for partnership alive, visualizing it every day, but acting within the imperfect opportunity he had in hand. In 1908, Edison offered him the exclusive distribution of the Ediphone, a voice recording device for businesses. Barnes built a fortune, not because he waited to be ready, but because he made the decision to move before he was ready. Mental certainty came after he was already in the field of action. Hill studied this case for years, and the principle he extracted is this: the decision to act with imperfect resources is the test that separates those who materialize wealth from those who merely think about it. When Barnes hitched a ride on that freight car, he didn't have clarity on how he was going to become Edison's partner. He had clarity that he was going to try, and it was the attempt that opened the way, not prior clarity. This is the principle you need to apply now. Don't wait for total clarity. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to be sure that the first attempt will work. Define your goal as you always have, but in the same session, on the same sheet of paper, write down one actionable physical step that can be executed within 72 hours that moves you toward that goal, even if it's imperfect, even if it's small, even if you still have doubts. And execute that action within the deadline, not when you feel ready, but when the deadline arrives. If the goal is to open a business, the action could be sending one message to one potential client describing the offer, even if the offer isn't perfect yet. If the goal is to change careers, the action could be filling out one application, sending one resume, making one call to someone in the field, even if you feel you don't have enough experience yet. If the goal is to launch a product, the action could be publishing one post describing what you are building, even if the product isn't ready for sale yet. The action doesn't have to be big. It needs to be physical. It needs to be verifiable. It needs to expose you to the real risk of trying and failing, because it's the risk that teaches the brain that the commitment is real. And when the brain detects real commitment, it stops treating the goal as a fantasy. It starts releasing cognitive resources that were blocked by doubt. The solution you were looking for in meditation appears in the midst of imperfect execution. The contact you needed emerges after you have already moved. The opportunity that seemed impossible materializes when you are within the field of action, not when you are preparing to enter. Hill documented this in hundreds of cases. Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, none of them waited to be ready. All of them made massive decisions with incomplete information, and it was the decision to move that generated clarity, not the other way around. Mental wealth continues to be developed, but now it's fueled by real physical movement, not by the endless cycle of preparation. And when you act before you're ready, something changes inside you. Because every physical step you take without total certainty is proof that you are someone who decides and acts, not someone who decides and waits. And this identity, the identity of someone who acts with imperfect resources, is what separates those rich in dreams from those rich in action. Say this out loud: opportunity doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards those who move with what they have now. Now, tell me something. What's the last goal you've put on the mental back burner, just waiting for the perfect moment to arrive? Write it down in the comments below. You don't have to tell the whole story, just the goal itself. Because when you write it down, you pull it out of the fog of intention and into the light of accountability. And there are more people going through the same cycle as you right now. So go ahead, type it out. There's a second mechanism Hill documented. Something that happens after you take that first step with imperfect resources. He called it the conversion window. This is the 72-hour period following your initial physical action, during which your brain decides whether this new pattern will stick or if you'll fall back into the cycle of endless preparation. 93% of people who took that first action reverted to the old cycle. The 7% who didn't went on to build fortunes. What transpired within that window is what determines if you break free from your dream or remain trapped within it forever. And almost no one knows this window even exists. You don't need more mental clarity. You don't need more energetic alignment. You don't need more visualization. You need to move. Because faith that doesn't produce physical action is dead faith. And fortune isn't built on dead faith. Hill spent 25 years documenting the difference between those who think about wealth and those who materialize it. And the difference wasn't in the intensity of desire. It wasn't in the clarity of vision. It wasn't in the quality of affirmation. It was in the presence or absence of a physical link between thought and measurable movement in the real world. When that link exists, mental wealth transforms into physical wealth. When it doesn't, the dream stays trapped inside your head forever. You are someone who decides and acts, not someone who decides and waits. From now on, your mental work ends with a recorded physical action, date, task, 72-hour deadline. Because visualization without physical movement is rehearsal without a premiere. And no one pays for tickets to see a rehearsal. Grab a sheet of paper now, write down the goal you've been visualizing, and below it, write down one physical action you will execute by the end of this week. A call, a submission, a registration, a first attempt. It doesn't matter if it's imperfect, it doesn't matter if it's small. What matters is that it's physical. What matters is that it exposes you to the real risk of trying and failing, and when the deadline arrives, you move. Not when you feel ready, when the deadline arrives. This is the principle Hill documented in the 11% who transitioned from mental wealth to physical wealth. They weren't smarter, they weren't more disciplined, they didn't have a stronger desire. They had the link. And they built the link with the first imperfect action, not with perfect preparation. Now it's your turn to move from dreaming to doing, because the world doesn't pay for intention, it pays for execution. And execution begins with the decision to act before you're ready. You always knew what to do. Now you know when to do it. Now,